never
They were
changed
not
the
there.
fixation, and never one tear would come out. But yet when they would get denied the parole,
They were,
from the
you
other
see
side
that
of the
switch.
wall, you see the switch.
Right.
And I have to be very aware of that, cognizant of that, because in society, when they're no longer in a controlled environment, things are going to happen that they don't like. And that switch is still very prevalent and active. Being a sociopath doesn't go away. There's not a pill you can take or an operation that will fix it.
It's so disturbing. I was in an interview with Charles Manson with Diane Sawyer when she said, but you don't, what did she say? Like, but you don't have money. He said, well, I'm a gangster.
Right.
I take money, woman. And I'm like, I mean, it's just to be able to deal with all that is it takes an incredible power, Debra, because I don't, like I said, to me is even unthinkable. And I have those lights and they're making me blind now. I'm gonna have to put my shades soon enough, Malik. But it's just unthinkable. And how do you do, and this is my question to you, once again, if you don't want to answer, you want to shut me up, go ahead. How do you deal with anger? How do you deal with anger? How do you deal with anger? The sense of like injustice after so many years that tragedy is over. Do you feel still that
All
you're
of
caring
us. No. All of us have to deal with anger.
every day?
Every single day of our lives. So to harvest the anger of this heinous crime, or harness the anger that you might be experiencing, something maybe not as ugly, but it certainly makes you equally as angry. So it's no different. And that is the difference between a civilized individual and these kind of people.
I think
That is the very difference right there. We all get angry and upset and hurt and maybe rage or pound your fist on the table or whatever. You express it in whatever. Go for a run. I used to like digging holes. I would see a tree, 25, 30-foot tree, and I would dig it up and move it 75 feet. You know? So.
See, yes, to me, if I'll say to me that Charles Manson is like a wound that is a black hole of need, that is a gravitational pull into negative.
Right.
A wound that is a negative. It's a narcissistic negative. It's sociopathic. Whatever the other issues are, schizophrenic, whatever, but the sociopathic element, again, is that lack of empathy. The people that followed him, that the young people that he led, there's some black hole that it sucks because it no longer sees out and looks at another. So like you're saying, your anger, your rage, you can't allow it and own it and take self-responsibility or self-reflect.
Right.
So you displace,
Right.
which is the exact opposite of us who sit here and try to do our darndest, our best in a moment to look at another person, and it's the opposite to me of Sharon.
Right.
It is the opposite of Sharon. It is exact polar opposites.
Yeah, polar.
It's incredible, right? It's just incredible to even think about it. Unthinkable.
Yeah.
To some degree. And I think that what would be, Debra, because you're very aware of your senses, and I feel that you have this, you absorb everything, like your mind is sharp and you're a keen observer of human behavior, because you are. What's the biggest lesson for you? After all the pain and all the experience and all the beauty, all the good, the bad, and all in between, what's the biggest lesson for you?
The biggest lesson for me is that that's a good one, Sissy.
Ouch. Take your time.
There's two big things that it has taught me, because I've been at this for a very long time now. Number one, the first thing was when I was younger, I'm a natural redhead. God gave me the temper that everybody knows Redheads have. Okay.
I can tell.
So I had to learn how to control myself and my temper. The second gift is I had to become aware and actually work to stay in the light. It's almost as if there's a battle between good and evil coming on here. And if you were to say, if you will, that Charlie is one side and that Sharon was the other, that the people in the middle are going to determine who wins and who doesn't. Since I'm the representative for the light, I have to make myself stay there. And sometimes it's not so easy. Because my life has been very, very difficult. And that's really the hardest thing that I struggle with every day, is not to lose myself. Not to give in to the anger or to the
sanity.
Even the battle, not to give in to the battle, because it's important to have a life outside of the battle.
Right.
You have to have balance. So maybe that's the answer. The biggest thing has been for me to learn how to keep balance in this situation.
What kind of things make you happy? What's your life like a day like? When you're in LA, when you're doing your thing, what kind of things do you enjoy doing?
I don't get to do the things that I enjoy doing anymore because I had an accident in the year 2000 involving a bomb in a mailbox. So I can't, it blew me into the middle of the street and I have spinal cord injuries.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So I can't ride my horse anymore, or I can't go skiing, or I can't, there's so many things that I cannot do that I have to. That's one of those internal battles. Before I was resentful that I couldn't do these things and I couldn't find joy. Earlier this year, a friend brought me to Florida, and I was swimming is really the only thing that I can do physically anymore. And I was in the ocean, and the wild dolphins came.
That's healing.
Wild dolphins came, and I got out of that water, and I went, woo-hoo!
Yeah.
Because it's the first time in 14 years that I have experienced joy. I didn't think it was there to reignite that flame again.
Now you take care of a lot of animals.
Oh yeah,
You take care of a lot of it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the peas, we will make that connection
Yes.
with me. I know that I have my stuffed babies. This is a private matter. Why should I bring it on? This is a serious conversation. It's a serious interview. But with me, you get it all in between. And the love with the animals. It's
Yes.
The tigers. I heard a good story.
What's the tiger story? Let me see a tiger story here.
I have neighbors that have tigers, big cats, large cats, several different species, and a neighbor up the street. We all have exotic and endangered species license. I work with birds of prey and rescue those. So anyway, I'm very good with needles for inoculating the smaller cats. Cats are the hardest thing in the world to give their yearly shot to, because they'll turn around and tear you up.
Ouch.
So I'm very good with the needle. They don't feel it going in. So my neighbors asked me if I would like to inoculate the tigers. Now these tigers happen to be tigers that they use for magic tricks, so they're it's different than a totally wild one. And I thought about it for a second and I said, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And I thought, and I said, because you're on the end that bites.
It's so cute. It's like we need to, you see, you have to do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You have to, life is hard as it is, and I don't have to tell you. Certainly I don't have to tell you. But life is short, and we have so many challenges and things to overcome that you have to find happiness in the smallest things.
Little tiny things, yes.
Right?
The way the water glistens on the ocean as it comes in, or the sound of raindrops. Absolutely, all those things give me joy.
Give you joy.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, but I don't know if it's the right time to ask you. But you see, my brain goes different directions, and look at the.
That's okay. Mine's
It's
zigzags
the
too.
same, always the same thing. And God knows that I need some medication for that because I just keep jumping from one to the next. I don't know what to do, but I need, because I'm jumping from one subject to the next. And I have everything here, and I think we cover everything.
It works if you have a good editor, you know.
Oh no! But what do you do with your thoughts, Debra, when you're loaded? Because you're loaded,
Yeah.
and don't blush because you are, Jen, and I'm loaded too. So what do we do? I mean, come on, we have to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Hollywood,
do
what
your
you-
work. You act and you write and you
I
design
know.
Yeah.
and
And
you
you do this and
interview.
you do that, and I take
and you
care of
love
my
and you
peeps.
live and yeah.
And take care of my babies. Hollywood, I mean, entertainment, this world. I mean, what do you think of entertainment, Hollywood? What's going on? I'm back in the 60s now, in our days. What do you think? What do you have to
Entertainment
say?
back in the 60s was so much more pure than it is now.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. Pink Panther.
Yeah. Oh, that's
know?
true. It looks like a joke, really.
Yeah.
But
True.
you're right.
Yeah. Matt Helm, Sharon's films,
Joyful.
joyful and more simplistic and funny satires, or the big bad movies were James Bond.
Right. Or
You
Bonnie
know,
and Clyde, even.
Or Bonnie and
Yeah,
Clyde. That
still
was starting to get a
That
little
was starting to get a
violent.
little bit big.
violent.
A little violent
yeah,
there,
and
right?
that was
Let's
in
not
that
forget.
era.
Right.
But yeah, it was a different world then. Now it's I don't think it's necessarily healthy. No. And that's one thing, the reason I wanted to do this book and really express in this book is I think that the whole ethics need to, if I was a youngster, this is a woman that I would model myself after. You know, there were no great role models.
No.
They all had,
Especially in that decade where
in that-
everything
yeah.
began,
Yeah.
to
so I think that the digitized young ladies of today's day might want to discover their sensuality, and that has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with the way you relate to all forms of life around you.
yes.
Right. But what about technology, the internet? and
Technology,
what do you have
I
to say about this
don't
mess?
like it. I don't like it. Well, because now it's very clear to me that the youngsters are having trouble discerning what is real with those games and things that they play, their form of entertainment, and what is not real. You know, it's become very very prevalent to me that these video games are looking so real, and you have all these young boys and girls playing these games where you're blowing people up and so on and so forth, that when it comes time to express their anger,
Right.
Yeah.
they don't see the difference between what's happening on those games and what's happening out at Columbine High School or Shady, what was it? Sandy Hook. I'm sorry, Sandy
Yeah.
Hook. Yeah. And that's a problem.
There's a
we have kids
disconnect.
going crazy. There is a
There's a
disconnect.
And it's too much the outside.
Too
It's
much
so
stimulus.
much. Thank
Too
you. So much that it's like, what about the inner search?
Yeah, you need to
Yeah.
work on yourself. The inner search
Every
is
time
very
we have
important.
to get, but I mean, I can be very deep, but I can be shallow too, because I'm checking my iPad. Oh, I got a message. I got to text it.
No, I
and then you text to Facebook, and then you. I mean, it's
Because
it's
it's a narcissistic position. Although
Yes.
there's good and bad and
There's
everything,
good
you
and bad
can
and
find the
in
good and the
between.
light and everything. But in